Peace and prosperity. I was thinking and feeling everybody. Today we will discuss cartridge analysis with comparison with contrast. Before we engage with the technical material, let's establish our safety defensive perimeter. Alright. In strict compliance with basic workshop survival, my desk is verified completely cold. There is no gunpowder, no explosive components, and zero live ammo present. What you see on my workbench here are completely inert dummy cartridges. Prior to this briefing, I consulted core technical data decks and the Sporting Arms and Ammunition Manufacturers Institute dimensional specification schematics. Today we'll be discussing two very popular cartridges in the firearm community, the 9mm Luger and the 5.56 NATO cartridges. I utilize my precision micrometer to map out three important measurements of the components of these cartridges. Let's conduct our first dimensional audit on a well-known specimen, the 9mm Luger, also known as the 9x19 Parabellum. First, the case length. It tracks at a nominal 19.15mm. Second, the base diameter, which measures at approximately 9.93mm. Looking closely at its architecture, you will observe it features a straight-walled, slightly tapered rimless design. Because it lacks a projecting rim, this cartridge utilizes its case mouth as its physical headspace datum point. The front lip of the brass is the mechanical stop that prevents the cartridge from sliding too deep into the pistol chamber. Now, let's cross-examine a community favorite, the 5.56x45mm NATO rifle cartridge. The case length is a sweeping 44.70mm. The base diameter sits at 9.60mm. Unlike our 9mm Luger, the 5.56 utilizes a bottleneck profile with a 23-degree shoulder. The shoulder is critical because this rifle round ignores the case mouth entirely and headspaces directly off the midpoint of that angled shoulder. Finally, let's isolate the projectiles. Micrometer verification of the 9mm dummy round reveals a true diameter of 0.355 inches. It is short, blunt, and designed for close range stability and self-defense. Conversely, the 5.56 dummy projectile tracks a meager 0.224 inches in diameter, featuring an aerodynamic Spitzer shape built for high velocity rifle performance. All of the diagnostic metrics are absolute. While their rear rim rifts are surprisingly similar, separated by less than 1/3 of a millimeter, their operational envelopes, case shapes, and head spacing mechanics share zero common ground. I recently had a client reach out and her concern was in regard to the compatibility of these rounds. I responded, "How we feeling, madam? I'm glad you brought this question to my attention. You mentioned that while staging your gear for your upcoming range shoot, you noticed a 9mm pistol round slide surprisingly easily into your 5.56 rifle magazine, and you wanted to know if they are interchangeable since they look like they are sharing the same similar base width. Let's break down the mechanics simply, because mixing these two up is a tactical recipe for unplanned hospital visit. In the gunsmithing world, a firearms chamber is an engineered vault built to contain a high-pressure explosion. It is tailored precisely to match the exact cartridge stamped on your barrel. To translate our technical measurements into practical safety, look at how small the tip of this 5.56 projectile is. The barrel of your rifle is bored out precisely to match the tiny fraction of an inch. Because the rear metal rim of these two shells are almost identical in width, a 9mm round can accidentally drop right into a 5.56 rifle chamber if your loading habits get a little sloppy. If a shooter closes the bolt and presses the trigger, the firing pin strikes the primer, the powder ignites, but that massive 9mm projectile will instantly jam in the throat of the rifle like a cork in a champagne bottle, with nowhere for those expanding gases to escape. The pressure spikes exponentially in a millisecond. The steel receiver of your rifle will violently disintegrate right next to your face, turning your firearm into a literal fragmentation grenade. To answer anyone's concerns about compatibility, the answer is absolute, non-negotiably, no. My professional recommendation is to practice strict ammunition segregation in your staging area. Never bring loose pistol ammo to a rifle-only bench. Always visually inspect the head stamps, the text stamped into the brass at the bottom of the shells before loading any magazine. If the stamp doesn't perfectly match the engraving on your gun's barrel, you should never, ever let that round enter the weapon. By pairing meticulous technical metrics with firearm-only safety education, we eliminate user error and keep the firing line secure. Thank you all for tuning in. Till next time, Godspeed.